All right, so we're having another little segment here in Decatur, Texas, and what we're going to do is we're going to wax this imitation kangaroo hide. So it's a full hide, and I'm going to lay her on my table, and I have flesh side up. We put a half a gallon of white gas and 4 bricks, basically a full package of paraffin wax. There's other waxes that work better. I don't recommend gasoline. I recommend if you're going to do this, you're trying to make a better product, why cut $5, $10 on a gallon of gasoline? I don't recommend using gasoline. I recommend using the camp fuel. On a safety precaution there, the camp fuel is designed to run next to heat in a camp stove. It's got a white gas camp stove, you pump up the white gas, and them burners are only a couple, 3 inches away from them burners. You put gasoline in there, it blows up. I know, we burn a house down because of that. So I don't recommend using the gasoline. Use the labeled Coleman camp stove, you won't have any problem. What I did is we put the bricks of wax in the crock pot and turn it on low and let them get melted. Then we added the gas. Takes less chances of you losing all the fumes. It's the fumes of the gas basically is the carrier into the leather. So you don't lose that by adding your gas. 5 minutes in the crock pot in the hot wax, the gas is going to be warm enough. And how I check if it's going to work, this hides a little flanky right there. So I'm just going to get my mixture and I'm going to go ahead and paint that on there like that in a spot that I don't care if it's not good enough. Okay? Now I'm going to let that dry a second. As soon as that color starts to change, I want it to go all the way through. It's carrying it. We're good to go. That's how you test it. Okay? It is pretty nice to have like a graded table, so that the air can go both ways. Like this table is a really good table to wax on. And then just take your paintbrush and stay real consistent, you know, and just go through here and make yourself a nice hide. Just wax her up like this. What I like to do is kind of stay away from the top of that crock pot when I'm dipping in there, because you get that Coleman smell. By the time you get to the other end, you might stagger if you do too much, okay? What I think I'm gonna do is, it ain't gonna hurt nothing a bit. It ain't gonna hurt this leather a bit. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do half this hide. And then we're gonna let that cure just a minute, and then we're gonna look at the difference so that we can show that on our video. Like I say, when you turn that leather over, see, we're not getting enough on. You want it to soak through. So I just go right back. Like I said, it ain't going to hurt that leather a bit. I'm just going to put a little more on there. And it's a real thin hide, so if you're doing skirting leather and stuff, you know, you're going to have to put more on. What you want to do is you want to get all that wax, and then you melt it. You want it to get it carried through that leather.
Did you need to mix that up together within the crock pot? I didn't see you do that, or did you?
Well, what we did, Terry, is we melted the wax first, and then we just poured the gas in. The wax is a heavier component than the gasoline, so it mixes itself basically.
Randy, do you ever run strings through, or do you just do?
I'll show you in a minute. I got some string. I'm going to show you how to do that too.
Okay.
The preferred deal is I'll wax this hide up real good like this, and I'll go cut my strings, and then before that cools off, I'll come back out and wax them again. See how even we're getting? I mean, I got some edges that ain't quite right. I'm going to continue that, but that's the whole thing. Is if you've got a little graded table, or you don't just do it on if you do it on a piece of plywood, the wax is going to get into the plywood, and it could pull stuff out of the wood into your leather. So I want a surface that both sides can breathe, like this grate here. Works real well. You know, I turned it over and I seen that I had some things around my edges I didn't like. That, when I go to cut this hide, most of that stuff out there is gonna get cut off and thrown away anyway, but it's just a good idea to, go back to the old saying, you can't reach perfection if you're willing to accept imperfection. Just get that hide all done. Whole side of skirting leather is gonna take you a while. And I mean, I'm not beyond telling you to use a weenie roller or a paint roller to do this with, you know? You get it on. Once I don't feel no heat in that and it's cold, it's there. I'll pass it around, touch the edge.
Do you ever put any on this side?
It soaks through. And it'll get anything that's missing out, anything that didn't soak through when I cut my string will be fine.
So you can't let
Feel the temperature? You're after feeling the temperature, what it did to that hide. If that hide is cool like that,
That's what he said.
if that hide is cool like that, that means it's drawing all the wax it's gonna pull through. It's cooling our wax off.
It's so third to the front side.
Is paraffin paraffin?
On the back.
Yeah.
You buy it about any grocery store, any old-time grocery store, 'cause that's what they seal their jars with, and the can and everything.
Walmart will have it during canning season.
Yeah.
Okay, so see the difference in our hide now? The thing about those beads that I'm thinking is you're not gonna have to put those blocks in the or those beads in the crock pot for 3.5 hours to get the wax to melt.
Because they should melt.
Yeah.
Or, you know,
You
there's
want-
less
you-
surface area to heat up to get them.
I'm not gonna stick my finger in that, it'll burn me. That's how warm that is, so just keep that in mind.
Why don't
So-
you go ahead and wax the whole hide?
Yeah, they talked about different kinds of wax that he uses.
Now, have you ever tried to put any oil in it while you're doing this step? Randy?
Nope.
I've wondered for years if, instead of using paraffin wax, if you use beeswax, it would be exactly the same process.
Nope,
I mean, is
it
anybody
don't
ever
work.
tried-
Try it, once you try it, report back next year.
I bought a 5 pound of beeswax pellets, put it in a crock pot, and the gas set right on top of it. It seals itself off, so you had 2 layers of stuff. So the gas would not penetrate. I stirred it and stirred it and stirred it with a spoon. I got just a tiny little corner done, and there it was separated again. I got it up to about 450. I usually test this with a meat thermometer, so the next time I do it at the exact same temperature. It doesn't matter, but I'm only doing 1 hide. If I was doing 5 hides, I'd want to keep my temperature. So, but, you know, there's all other kinds of wax to use, that's for sure, but $6 worth of paraffin and $12 worth of white gas is giving us a pretty good finish. You know, doing a pretty good job. So there we are, gang. I'm not gonna worry about doing them odd edges. So our imitation kangaroo hide, now if we went in there and felt if we had a full kangaroo hide in there and you go feel it, that's gonna feel exactly like that kangaroo that you get from Australia. That's a $20 goat hide. But anyway, that's how you wax a hide. Like I said, if you're gonna do a whole side, don't be bashful about getting one of them little 9-inch or 7-inch weenie rollers to speed up the process. It's the same thing. Paintbrush was easy, goes back in the toolbox easy. Okay, now somebody had a little piece of kangaroo hide. Okay, so this is just a piece of kangaroo string. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna roll it up really tight. So for all demonstrational purposes, we're gonna pretend like this is 70 or 80 feet of string. Everybody was teasing me yesterday in here because I got me these chopsticks. Whole $1 for 12 or 14 pair of chopsticks. I can't lose that string. I can lay that string on there in a long bit of stuff and I still got my string. I won't lose half of it in the bottom. I want to wax this string consistent. So I don't want half of it sticking in there for 20 minutes, me trying to get it out. So I just take my chopsticks, and if you all want to come in close, you can see once that goes in there, all them bubbles. It's sucking all the air out of that kangaroo hide.
When the bubbles quit, it's ready to come out.
Okay? Okay, so the bubbles are done.
And it doesn't, you don't worry about the part that the chopsticks are touching, it doesn't absorb differently there, like make a dry spot or anything?
Good question. Answer your own question. Is
Yeah.
there any difference in my string? No difference, even though I had it clamped with the chopsticks. Somebody had a big piece of harness leather. Let's have that, and we'll just go ahead and wax it. All right, so we're kind of rolled up here. And there again, we're just going to see if we can answer Calvin's question in a bigger way. I'm just going to go ahead and leave her rolled up like that. Okay. There again, I'm going to push every bit of my leather down in my crock pot. Okay. Y'all can come up and see the bubbles if you want. It's going to be 2-3 minutes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to reach in here with that chopstick, and I'm going to go ahead and move that. I'm moving the center and leaving the outside rolled, so we can answer that question for you. Okay. So I opened up the center and I left the inside rolled. Okay. Bubbles are done. And there again, I'm going to use my chopsticks. Okay. Calvin, you're taller than I am.
Taller than all of us.
Can you see where it was rolled and was touching itself?
No.
Okay. Don't be afraid of waxing leather. It makes crappy stuff, good quality stuff. I recommend even waxing your kangaroo hides. Hey, get that up out of the dirt. That's why we gave it to you. It's honest truth. I'm not only teasing you, but it's true, because while it's still wet like that, it'll suck that dirt right out of that concrete right in it. See, now it's still warm. See, now it's warm, not like the other hide.
And I don't think any crock pots on the market, even if you had it on high, would ever burn the leather or be too hot.
You can
but
blow
if-
the glass up.
Right, you can do
Don't
that.
go over 500 degrees.
But if you were doing it on a stove or something and got it boiling or something, I'd worry that you'd overheat that hide. Just because it would really make it brittle, I think.
Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm just turning the crock pot to keep warm, and we're gonna put the lid on it. I'm gonna go in and I'm gonna cut some leather. I'm gonna cut some strings out of one that hasn't been waxed and some strings that has been waxed, so that we can compare with waxing the hide or waxing the string, or if we can tell any difference. The difference you're gonna tell is the way this one that's waxed cuts. It's going to cut it's going to cut a nicer string than the one that ain't waxed. That's what you're going to find out. And I look at it like I soak my strings when I cut them. You put this wax in here, it's going to sell through that string cutter just like if it's soaked rawhide, maybe even a lot better.